This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good afternoon, students. So today's class is on angina and ischemia, IHD, that is ischemic heart disease. So, okay, anyways, we'll start the class. I guess only 23 are online. Anyways, it's last hour. Those who are interested can continue. We'll be discussing regarding angina first. So, what do you mean by angina? Definition of angina. Angina is nothing but pain. Okay, it is pain. Pain, obviously. Anyways, so angina is a condition. It is a syndrome of IHD, ischemic heart disease, resulting from transient myocardial ischemia. Angina means peri or substernal or precordial pain. Chest pain is what we call it as angina. So this can be, or this is due to improper or insufficient supply of blood to the myocardium. The myocardium is your heart. I thought of starting with the anatomical part of the heart a little bit. I guess every one of you know that cardiac muscle is called as the myocardium. I guess you know there are three layers in the cardiac: the pericardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. So, and the artery which is supplying to the heart is what we call as coronary artery. So this angina is a coronary artery disease, a disease of coronary artery which is resulting in pain, anginal pain or pain in the chest region, precordial region or the areas overlying your heart. Fine. And I guess you all know heart is responsible for circulation of blood, both impure and pure, that is oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So the coronary artery, branch of aorta, is what which supplies the heart with the oxygenated blood. And since oxygenated blood is, the arteries not only supply the oxygenated blood, but it supplies everything. It supplies the oxygen, it supplies the nutrients in order or for the proper functioning of the myocardium or the heart muscle. A heart muscle is able to pump or is able to carry out its function only if it is supplied by the required amount of blood, so which is supplied by the coronary artery. If there is any problem or any issue with the supply of the blood, then the heart muscle is going to die, which is going to lead to myocardial infarct or death of the heart tissue. But here angina is what we refer it as substernal or precordial pain. Pain is what we defined as angina. Obviously, it is due to IHD, that is ischemic heart disease. Okay, the pain, the anginal pain character is it can sometimes radiate to your arm, left arm, obviously your left side, your left arm, back, your neck, and your lower jaw. Seeing to it, it is very common in old age, fifth decade, 50 plus people. Again, it is seen more in the men's, in the male faculty, in the male gender. Fine. And then types of angina. I guess definition of angina is clear. Angina is a clinical syndrome of ISD resulting from transient myocardial ischemia and is characterized by substernal or pericardial pain in substernal or pericardial region of the chest. Okay, and now next is types of angina. So angina is classified as three types: stable angina, unstable angina, and variant angina. First one is stable, second is unstable, third is variant angina. So angina is also graded. It is graded in 4 gradings. First, grade 1, grading of the angina. Grade 1, angina on severe exertion. Grade 2, angina on walking uphill or climbing more than one flight of ordinary stairs. Grade 3, angina on walking on level ground or climbing one flight of ordinary stairs. Grade 4 is angina on rest. So this grading is very important in order to divide, or if you in order to know the types of angina. Fine. First, if a patient of chest pain comes to you, you need to grade the angina. After grading the angina, you have to characterize, or you have to decide which type of angina the person is suffering. Angina grading is in 4 gradings and types is of 3 types. Okay, now moving on to the types of angina. First one is a stable angina. So stable angina is the most common one. So most common one is what we call a stable angina. This is chest pain occurs on exertion. So a person has precordial region pain or substernal pain or pain radiating to the referred areas, even only on exertion, or if a person is under a strong emotional stress or any kind of emotional disturbance. And then if a person has pain in these two conditions, first is on exertion, second is under stress. If a person is having pain, substernal chest pain or precordial chest pain, when a person is under physical exertion or under any kind of stress, let it be physical stress or mental stress, then that condition is called a stable angina. Now, stable angina is relieved if a person is given rest. As soon as person takes rest, the chest pain is relieved. So this kind of chest pain or this kind of angina is what we define as stable angina. Next is unstable angina. Unstable angina is the angina in which there is which is also called as acute coronary insufficiency, or you can say this is a prior stage of MI, myocardial infarction.
తమ్మి నాకు నిన్ను చాలా దగ్గర పాలకుండి
Who is speaking? Okay, so we were studying regarding the unstable angina. So unstable angina is also called as acute coronary insufficiency or pre-infarction angina. So it's a prior stage of myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction is nothing but death of myocardium. So there is in myocardial infarction or MI, there is death of the myocardial muscles. So this unstable angina is a prior stage. It is also called pre-infarction angina. It's a prior stage of myocardial infarction. It is characterized by more frequent onset of pain, which is for prolonged duration, and this pain or chest pain is not relieved even on rest. Even if the patient is given rest, the the pain, the anginal pain, the unstable anginal pain is not relieved. See, in case of stable angina, There is chest pain which is relieved on rest. In case of unstable angina, there is chest pain which is frequent, which is prolonged, and even the pain persists on rest. Fine, this is the main difference between stable and unstable angina. It is stable angina is relieved on rest, unstable angina is not relieved on rest. Moving on to the third type, it is the variant angina. So variant angina is also called as Prinzmetal angina or vasospastic angina or rest angina. So in case of variant angina, this anginal pain is characterized by pain at rest and has no relationship to physical activity. Even if a person does the physical activity or if the person is not doing the physical activity, the pain is neither increasing nor decreasing. The pain is as it is. So it is irrespective of any physical activity. And secondly, it is also persistent on rest. So even on rest, there is pain, and even it is irrespective of the physical activity. Like in case of stable angina, if a person does physical activity, the chest pain is going to increase. If the person takes rest, the angina or chest pain is going to reduce. In case of variant angina, if a person does the physical work or if the person is not involved in physical work, it is not going to affect the chest pain. The chest pain is not affected by the physical activity. And also there is pain even on rest. The pain is continuous on rest. See, variant angina is commonly due to coronary artery spasm. Now, I didn't discuss regarding the causes of stable angina and unstable angina. But here in case of variant angina, the main cause of pain is due to coronary artery spasm. There is spasm in the coronary artery. So, coronary artery spasm is one of the cause for the variant angina. Fine. And it is relieved the person condition, like even based on the treatment you can assess what type of angina is seen in patient. If you give a coronary artery vasodilator, then obviously this kind of angina is relieved, but in other cases it is not necessary. In stable angina, obviously you can, as soon as you give the patient rest, the patient chest pain is relieved. In case of unstable angina, if you give vasodilators, if you give rest, it is not going to affect the patient. It has to be hospitalized and rule out the cause, because I said it is a pre-stage of myocardial infarct. If this stage is neglected, or if this stage is passed on, the person is going to end up with MI, myocardial infarct. So unstable coronary angina is more fatal compared to other two, and the patient has to be hospitalized and the cause has to be ruled out and accordingly treated. Now, stable angina, as told, the main cause is physical exertion. As soon as you remove the cause, the patient is stable. In case of unstable angina, there are four. We can just divide the cause of unstable angina under four headings. First one, the most common one, is the atherosclerosis or plaques. So plaques are something, I guess you know it very well, you have read this. So plaques are what? They're accumulation of the excess fatty or lipids which are flowing within your blood. Fine. So excess lipid circulating in your blood is what is plaques. These excessive lipids or excess fat is going to accumulate in the intima, the inner layer of the artery. Fine. The plaques or the excessive lipid start accumulating within the arteries, and slowly they cause narrowing of the artery. Excess lipid which are circulating in the blood starts depositing within the artery or starts depositing on the inner layer of the artery or accumulates within the artery. This is what is called as atherosclerosis, and this atherosclerosis causes narrowing of the vessel, in turn causing anginal pain. Fine. Now this is generalized. Same thing can now, this is, you can call this as an what do you call it, general pathophysiology of angina. What happens is there is, due to some or the other reason, there is narrowing of the blood vessel. In this, in case of unstable angina, it is due to your excessive lipids, atherosclerosis. Now this atherosclerotic plaque, which is rupture, atherosclerotic plaque ruptures, there is what we call, what is going to happen once it ruptures, there is platelet cascade going to take place. So platelets are going to rush towards that area, resulting in formation of blood clot. Now this blood clot can either partially block the artery or can completely block the artery, depending upon the clot size. This happens. Fine. So important one, in case of unstable angina, the atherosclerotic plaque is ruptured. First main cause is atherosclerosis rupture. So if there is atherosclerotic plaque rupture, then there what happens? There is platelet cascade. Platelet cascade means due to the rupture, due to the bleeding, there is, the platelets are going to rush towards that area and result in the formation of blood clot. And this blood clot will cause the blockage of the artery and further causing the reduced blood supply and oxygen supply to that particular area of the heart. Okay. Second cause may be partial or complete thrombosis. Thrombosis of the coronary artery. Now, thrombosis of coronary artery, again, one of the reason can be due to rupture of atherosclerosis. Other than that, thrombus or thrombus from any other area, if there is thrombosis happening, thrombocytopenia happening in the body, if there is thrombus formation within the arteries, so there may even that thrombus can break and can come and get blocked in the coronary artery, since that thrombus is going to flow through the heart throughout the body. That thrombus can unlodge from that specific area and circulate within the blood. While circulating, if it is going to block the coronary artery, then that can be one of the causing the blockage of the coronary artery. Secondly, if there is thrombosis of the coronary artery, one is thrombus coming from some other area. If so, there is thrombosis happening in some other arteries within your body. If that thrombus breaks, if there is breakage or if there is dissociation of that thrombus from that particular space, it enters the circulation. Once it enters the circulation, there is always a risk of either pulmonary thrombosis or coronary thrombosis. So that thrombus which is circulating can either lodge in the pulmonary or can get lodged in the coronary. So wherever that is going to lodge, that area will be affected and the person is going to suffer. If not, if there is thrombosis of the coronary artery itself, then also there are chances of blood clot and then blockage of the artery of the supply. Third cause is spasm of the artery. So spasm of the artery can be, most common cause of spasm is smoking, and that is why it is more common in men, because smoking is prevalent in men's. Smoking is the most common cause which causes spasm of the coronary arteries. So smoking affects your lungs, smoking affects your vascular structures, affects your vessels as well, causing vasoconstriction. Or cold, in case of in cold regions, or if a person is exposed to cold. See, that is the main most common reason why the MI or the myocardial infarct attacks are most commonly seen during the early morning period and during the cold season, because already there is vasoconstrictions, there is vasospasm due to the cold condition. Now if a person gets up early in the morning, moves around walking, moves exercising, there is lot of stress, that is lot of work which is given to the heart. So heart muscles are devoid of more oxygen in this condition. So this is why it is more common. MI are most common in the morning periods in the cold seasons. Fourth reason is dissection, coronary artery dissection. Dissection is, I guess you know, there are three walls of the artery. Any of the wall, if that is dissected or if it is cut, now if the inner wall of the artery, the tunica intima, is cut, now that blood is going to flow within that intima now, and thus there is a new channel which is formed between tunica media and tunica intima. So now that is going to bulge out and block the vessel. So fourth cause is dissection, coronary artery dissection. Dissection is, it is layer, it is cutting, or it is the one or the other layer is separated and blood starts to flow through that layer. So if intima, or is most commonly within intima only, so it's so intima and media, it opens up and the blood starts flowing between these two layers, and then the inner layer obviously will bulge out because there is blood within that, in between intima and media. So this can again narrowing the channel, causing the reduced oxygen supply. Fine. So these are four main causes of unstable angina. And once there is narrowing, blockage of angina of the heart muscle, obviously what is going to happen? The general pathophysiology: narrowing of the coronary artery, decreased blood flow to the myocardium, that is the heart muscles, due to decreased blood to the heart muscles. There is reduced oxygen supply and nutrient supply. There is hypoxic condition in case, and thus due to reduced oxygen, due to reduced nutrients, prolonged, if it is continuous for some time, then that is going to cause death of that myocardial tissues. In case of stable angina, what happens? Once you are doing exercise, since there is just narrowing, so narrowing can be due to any reason, can be due to spasm, can be due to atherosclerosis, can be due to thrombus. If there is in case of unstable, there is narrowing of the coronary artery, and then there is reduced blood supply. So generally, if a person is not working, is at rest, then what happens? This much, since the heart is not, it is functioning normally, it is happy with whatever blood or whatever oxygen, nutrients is being supplied to the muscle. But what happens when a person is involved in exercise, or a person is doing exercise, then the oxygen demand of that myocardial muscle is increased, because the myocardium has to pump more blood. In this case, what happened? When the oxygen demand is increased, but the oxygen supply is not sufficient, in that case, slowly there is pain which originates. Once you take rest, okay, your again heart is going to stabilize, it is going to reduce the pumping and going to keep its nominal. Then in that condition, the pain is relieved. In case of unstable angina, what happens? Since this strain is continuous and prolonged, this is going to the demand and supply difference is seen. Demand and oxygen demand and oxygen supply difference is more in case of unstable and variant angina, and that is why there is death of the myocardium taking place. Fine. So this is what is the pathophysiology of all three: stable, unstable, and variant angina. Okay. Main difference of stable angina is the pain is relieved on rest. Unstable angina is the pain is not relieved on rest. In case of variant angina, it is irrespective of physical activity and irrespective of rest. Fine. Now moving on to the investigation. Okay, what is the most common investigation? The most common way of assessing or ruling out angina is, obviously everyone knows, that is ECG. As soon as the person comes with a complaint of chest pain, you directly ask the patient to get done ECG, but that is a wrong thing. Firstly, you have to exclude other heart problems by listening to the heart sounds or auscultating. Or cardiovascular system mein you have to carry out auscultating heart sounds. If there is any murmur, if there is any added sound, that has to be ruled out. If that is not, once you do auscultation, then get the ECG of the patient done. Now in case of ECG, the most common finding which is seen is, it is ST depression. There is, you know, the PQR is, I have that. Okay. I'll tell this everything after telling you about the ischemic heart disease. Okay, after ECG, another cause of angina. See, as I told you, that is the main cause is the demand of oxygen and supply of oxygen is different. So that is the main cause of angina. Again, in case of anemia, that can be one of the cause for demand of reduced supply of oxygen rich blood. So you have to even rule out anemia in such patients. Then you have to do the LFTs, mainly the lipid profile, in order to assess the cholesterol levels. Next, the thyroid function test and diabetes, because these are comorbidities. This can easily affect the heart. The gold standard or the best way to assess the coronary artery condition is by doing CT coronary angiography. You have to, if you want to know the condition of the coronary arteries, the standard is, the gold standard non-invasive technique is CT coronary angiography. The invasive way is angiography, obviously. You can carry out angiography, matlab, femoral artery say they push a dye and they just take an X-ray, fluoroscopy, not X-ray. It's a type of X-ray only. So through X-ray, they see what exactly, where all is a blockage. But CT coronary angiography is much more specific and much more clear way of assessing the coronary artery conditions. So investigations which have to be carried out is ECG, again CBC, especially HP, in order to exclude anemia, lipid profile, thyroid functions, LFTs, and diabetes. LFT, thyroid function, diabetes, when you are going to start medication, at that time also it is equally important, because whether you have to start on the patient on statin and all, that is depending on your LFT conditions. Liver function is going to decide what drug has to be introduced. Specifically when it comes to statins, you have to think over that. Okay, so next topic is ischemic heart disease. Ischemic heart disease, ischemia definition. Ischemia refers to lack of oxygen due to inadequate perfusion. Perfusion is supply. I guess you know how circulation takes place between the vessel and the tissue. It is through perfusion. So ischemia is referred as lack of oxygen due to inadequate perfusion. Ischemia is temporary deficiency of blood flow to the organ or tissue. Ischemic heart disease is defined as acute or chronic form of cardiac disability arising from imbalance between myocardial supply and demand for oxygenated blood. Fine. So ischemia is it is improper or imbalance in myocardial supply and demand for oxygenated blood. Now this imbalance can be due to either narrowing or due to obstruction. Okay, so as coronary artery disease, I've already told it is either due to obstruction or due to narrowing. Okay. Risk factors are, in case of male, it is a male more than 35 years, female more than 45 years are at more risk. When it comes to sex, obviously, males are more at risk compared to women. Then if there is a family history, in that case, next is smoking, smoking again due to vasospasm, obesity again due to the increased lipid levels or increased fat within your blood, physical inactivity. Obviously, if there is physical inactivity, indirectly it leads to obesity. Poor diet, or if no proper nutrients are given, it's not just oxygen, even the nutrients which are equally important for the survival of the tissues. Involved in poor diet, it is indirectly going to affect the blood quality, when indirectly going to affect the tissue. Stress, in case of stress, anxiety, or specifically anxiety, high blood pressures, high blood cholesterol levels, and diabetes. So this is the person with all these characters are at more risk of myocardial infarct. Okay, sorry, ischemic heart disease. Next is myocardial infarct. So myocardial infarct definition is, it is an irreversible necrosis of part of heart muscle is almost or always due to coronary atherosclerosis. It is irreversible necrosis of the part of the heart muscle. Whichever muscle is involved, the necrosis of that heart muscle, obviously it is due to coronary artery disease or coronary atherosclerosis, then this is what is termed as myocardial infarction. Infarction means death of the tissue that results due to deprivation of the blood supply. Myocardial infarction is commonly called as MI. Fine. So infraction matlab, it is death of the tissue, the heart tissue is what is myocardial infarct or infraction. Infraction means death of the tissue due to reduced supply of blood or due to non-availability of the blood. Myocardial infarction is known commonly as heart attack. This topic will be taught tomorrow. Anyway, clinical features, pain. Okay, I Clinical features. Onset pain is abrupt. In intensity varies. Location of pain is behind the midsternum, radiating to right or left arm. Duration is from minutes to several hours. Associated symptoms are dyspnea, nausea, vomiting, and shock. Fine. Dyspnea, these are the clinical features. Signs is tachycardia, can be bradycardia, hypertension, hypotension, cold and clammy skin. Now, see, these are symptoms. Ischemic heart disease के symptoms are pain is the main symptom, obviously. Precordial region pain, intensity varies, onset is abrupt, anytime at any, not specific. It's mid-sternum, radiating to right or left arm, and can be for small few minutes to more hours. Dyspnea, nausea, and vomiting. Difficulty in breathing, nausea, and vomiting is seen. Signs is tachycardia or bradycardia, hypotension, cold and clammy skin. Okay, investigations for ISD is obviously, as I told you, blood test, lipid profile, glucose level, ECG. Next is treadmill test, which we call as stress echo. A person, we just see how the heart functions under stress, physical stress. The person is asked to move on the or walk or run slowly. The levels is increased. Walk, then run, then fast run, and just we see how the heart functions during that. CKMB level. See, in case of MI or IHD, the CKMB levels is increased. Again, troponin. Troponin is an heart enzyme, and this is also increased when there is chest pain. Okay, then LHD. So you have to see the levels of CKMB. You can even see the levels of troponin T and LDH. What are the changes in ECG in an MI case? See, this is normal, what do you call it? Electrocardiogram, PQRST wave, this entire wave. So normally P wave, QRS complex, and this is T wave. So this is normal structure. Next, in case of MI or in case of IHD, what happens? The ST segment, this ST segment is elevated. The ST segment, we usually see the ST segment only. You just have to focus on the ST segment. In case of acute MI, in case of IHD, there is ST elevation. This has to be of this, the structure of ST wave is this. But segment, I won't call it as wave. This ST segment has to be, this is the normal segment, but in case of MI, there is ST elevation. There is rise in the segment. And next, secondly, there is T wave inversion. Fine. And deep Q wave. This Q wave goes deep down, and there is T wave inversion. ST segment is elevated. Obviously, the T wave is going to inverse. It is going to move in the downward direction. This is quite difficult. Anyway, when will be? I think ECG is already taught to you along with X-ray, MRI. So you must be knowing at least the waves. What are all the waves in this? What do you call ECG? Okay, so this is what happens. Fine. So today's topic ends here. Angina and IHD, myocardial infarct. Anyways, I guess only 24 people, 29 less attendance today. Any doubts? Those who have attended? Anyone having any doubt? Is Anirudh online? I guess Anirudh had asked me last time that question, anemia and hemorrhage. Anemia and hemorrhage is not seen. Anemia and stroke, ischemic stroke, ischemia is seen. The person may be paralyzed due to ischemia, and which can be due to anemia. But anemia cannot lead to hemorrhage. Fine. The patient whom you saw, the paralysis cause may be either ischemic stroke in the brain, which can be due to anemia. Obviously, I guess you have instead of ischemic stroke, you have referred it as hemorrhagic stroke, which is not to anemia. Very rarely, but still we cannot relate it to it. But anemia can commonly cause ischemic stroke due to the reduced blood. There may be reduced supply of oxygenated blood to the brain, and that specific part can be ischemic and can be dead. Similarly, how it happens in cardiac ischemia. Fine. Okay. Anyone else? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Hello?
No, ma'am.
Who is this? Roll number 24?
Ma'am, no doubts.
No doubts. Okay. Anirudh, is it? Thank you then. Thank you so much. We'll stop the meeting here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.